She brought the storm with her. Honey, if you told me 10 years ago that I'd be sharing my kitchen with my husband's ex-wife, I would have laughed you clean off my porch. But life has a way of humbling a woman. And the day she showed up, the rain was coming down sideways, like the Lord himself was trying to scrub something dirty off this earth. The morning started with the smell of burnt toast and nerves. Mark had been pacing since sunrise, back and forth, like the wooden floors owed him money. He couldn't finish his coffee, didn't even try, just held the mug in his hand while it went cold. I stood at the sink, wiping down dishes that didn't need wiping, pretending I wasn't watching him unravel. "You're wearing a hole in the rug," I said softly. He didn't answer, just checked his phone again. That's when I knew. She was really coming. The knock came at exactly 8:17 a.m. 3 soft taps, not desperate, not hesitant, like someone who knew she had a right to be there. Mark froze. For a second, I thought he might run. I dried my hands slowly on the dish towel, folded it neat, placed it by the sink, because if my world was about to tilt sideways, at least my kitchen would be in order. "I'll get it," I said. He swallowed. "No, I should." But he didn't move. So I walked to the door, and when I opened it, there she was, Claire. 10 years older, 10 years thinner, 10 years more tired than the woman in the wedding photos I'd once found stuffed in a shoebox in the attic. Rain clung to her hair like tiny glass beads. She didn't smile, just looked at me. "You must be Anna." Her voice was softer than I expected. "I am." She shifted her weight and glanced past me into the house. "I wouldn't be here if I had anywhere else to go." Well, that'll wake a heart up. You see, Mark and Claire had been married 12 years. 12. That's longer than most people keep a car. They had history, memories, fights, holidays, shared grief. They also had a son, Ethan, and that's the reason she was standing on my porch with a single suitcase and rainwater dripping from her coat. Ethan had gotten himself into trouble, the kind of trouble that doesn't wash off easy. Wrong crowd, wrong night, wrong decisions. And Claire had lost her job trying to clean up his mess, lost her apartment 2 weeks later. Mark found out from Ethan, not from her. And when he told me she needed a place to stay just for a little while, I said something I didn't know I was strong enough to say. Bring her. I don't know if that was bravery or foolishness. Maybe both. Claire stepped into my house like someone entering a museum, careful not to touch anything. Her eyes spanned the walls, the family photos, the mantel, the wedding portrait of Mark and me, taken on a bright spring day when neither of us imagined storms like this. She noticed it. Of course she did. Her gaze lingered half a second too long. Mark finally found his voice. "Claire, thank you for coming." Thank you for coming. Like this was brunch. She gave him a tight nod. Didn't have much choice. And there it was. 10 years of unsaid words hanging in my entryway. I made coffee, because that's what women do when everything feels like it's about to break. We sit, we pour, we pretend. Claire wrapped both hands around the mug like it was the only warm thing left in her life. Mark kept clearing his throat. I kept studying her hands. They were rougher than I expected. This wasn't the manicured woman from old pictures. This was someone who'd been surviving. "You can take the guest room," I said finally. Her eyes flickered toward me. "Thank you." 2 simple words, heavy as stone. Rain didn't stop all day. Neither did the silence. Mark offered to fix the leak in the hallway ceiling, something he'd been meaning to get to for months. Funny how guilt turns men into handyman. Claire stayed mostly in the guest room. I cooked dinner like always. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans. Comfort food. The kind that makes things feel normal even when they aren't. We sat at the table, 3 forks, 3 plates, 10,000 ghosts. Halfway through dinner, Claire spoke. I never meant for any of this to happen. Mark looked up fast. I kept my eyes on my plate. Life rarely asks what we mean, I said quietly. She studied me then, not as competition, not as an enemy, but like she was trying to figure out what kind of woman opens her door to her husband's past. Truth is, I wasn't sure myself. It wasn't just about Ethan, and it wasn't charity. It was something else. You see, when Mark told me she'd lost everything, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not love, not longing, but guilt, old guilt. And I knew something then. If I made him choose between helping her and protecting my pride, he'd resent me the rest of our lives. So I chose differently. I chose peace, even if it meant discomfort. 3 days passed quietly, too quietly. Then on the 4th night, I heard it, crying, soft at first, then shaking. It wasn't coming from my room, it was coming from the guest room. Mark heard it too. He looked at me, I looked at him, and in that moment I realized something no one warns you about. Sometimes the hardest part of marriage isn't jealousy, it's compassion. I got up first, knocked gently on her door. Claire? Silence. Then a broken whisper. I'm sorry. I opened the door. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, her shoulders trembling. She said, I failed him. I failed Ethan. I failed everything. And honey, when a woman says that, it doesn't matter who she used to be to your husband. She's just another woman drowning. So I sat beside her, and I did something I never imagined doing. I wrapped my arms around my husband's ex-wife. But storms don't just bring rain. They uncover things buried deep. And 5 nights after she arrived, I found something in the laundry room that changed everything. A letter.